Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas and welcome to the ninth video in a series of game development tutorials on how to make your own visual novel style game in Unity. In this tutorial we'll cover working with our text a little bit more to make it scroll across the screen one letter at a time. Remember to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay up to date with every tutorial I upload. Feel free to leave a comment or drop a like. I also have a Patreon page where you can help be a part of this channel, and you'll find all the scripts and the assets to this series there too, along with plenty of other things. You can also now join as a free member. Now, on with the tutorial. So, one of the staples that you will get in a lot of video games these days is text scrolling letter by letter on screen. It's a fairly simple process to create, but setting it up requires, well, you could say like a master file, and that's how we're going to do it. We're going to create a master file that will allow us to do it, which means that any script that uses that master file can scroll text. So, how do we do it? Well, first things first, let's create a new script. So in our scripts folder, let's right click, create, and a new script. And we'll call this text creator. And open it up in Visual Studio. So to do this, we will need to create a couple of variables. Some of them will be static. The reason they're static is because we need other scripts to be able to access these any given time. So let's start with the first variable, which is going to be referring to the text itself. So public static, and it's going to be of type TMP RO because it's using Text Mesh Pro dot TMP underscore text. And we'll just call this view text semicolon. All this will become apparent as the tutorial goes on more and more. Next, we need to have a bool that is true or false, which basically determines the text being printed. So in this case, it will be public static bool, and we'll call it run text print semicolon. The next one is going to be the character count. So, i.e., how many characters have we done? How many characters are there? And it just basically enables it to determine how to do one character at a time for whatever text we are saying. So, let's have public, static, int, and char count. Char obviously being short for character. Now, I'm going to have two more variables here just as like internal values for this specific script itself, so we can see it inside the inspector panel. So we're going to serialize field. And the first one is going to be a string. And we'll just call it transfer text, semicolon. And the second one is just going to be, think of it as like an internal visible character count. So because the character count, the char count variable, is static, we can't see it in the inspector panel, but that doesn't matter too much. We can use an internal count instead. So this one, once again, serialize field, and we'll have it as int, and we'll just call it internal count, semicolon. So as I previously mentioned, this particular script is going to be the script that controls how quickly we display the text on our screen. And there isn't too much to do in this. What we are going to do is we're going to add in a coroutine. We do need the update method. We'll get round to that a little later on, but we don't need the annotations and we don't need the start method, so they can go. So below the update method, what we'll do is we will say I enumerator, and we'll call it roll text. Open close bracket, open curly bracket, and return. So, what is IEnumerator? Well, remember in scene one, the events, we had this, didn't we? It controls the speed of whatever is happening, so it's the event. So, once again, displaying the text like this has to be used via a coroutine because we need to delay at certain points how quickly the text displays. Now, for every character, we need to say, do this. So, for example, if our text had 16 characters, then for every character in that, we need to wait for a certain amount of time. So, to put that in coding terms, we would say for each, and in brackets, char, and we'll call it C. So basically declaring a variable inside this particular section. C in, and it's already saying exactly where it thinks it should be. So for every letter, effectively, in transfer text, then we do the following. View text dot text plus equals C, semicolon, and then wait for a certain amount of time. So yield, return new, wait for seconds, and in brackets we'll have 0.0, maybe 3 F. And now we might change this depending on how quickly our text scrolls. It might be too quick, in which case we'll change some of these numbers a little later on. So let's quickly recap what this coroutine is doing. It's saying for every letter that we define in view text, display one letter at a time and wait for 0.03 seconds between displaying each letter. That's how that coroutine is working. And what we need to do now is we need to work with the update method to get this to function every time it needs to display a letter, and every time it has, it adds one to the amount. So, what do we do here? Well, firstly, remember we created those two internal variables, specifically the internal count, so we can see how many, basically, what the count is right now. So, firstly, I'm going to say internal count is equal to char count. And this isn't strictly necessary in this script, it's more for us to see and understand what's happening. Next, what we need to say is char count is equal to, we need to get component, because remember our text is inside the Text Mesh Pro text field. So we need to get the component and determine its length. So get component, and in spiky brackets, TMPRO, Text Mesh Pro, underscore TMP underscore, sorry, no, it shouldn't be underscore, TMP Pro dot TMP underscore text, close spiky bracket, open close bracket, dot text dot length, semicolon. So that line of code is assigning the variable of char count the number of letters inside our text. Next thing to do, we need to say if run print is true. So basically, are we going to start printing this text? So if it's true, then we do the next section, which effectively results in us starting that coroutine just below. So we can say if, and in brackets, run text print equals true, then do the following. And the following would be immediately turning run text print as false, because we don't need it to keep running one after the other. So we run it, stop that bool from running it again, so it only runs the once. We then say view text is equal to get component, and the component we need to get once again is the Text Mesh Pro. So TM Pro dot TMP underscore text, close bracket bracket, open close bracket, semicolon. So we're making the text value equal to that. I'm also going to make transfer. I've got the meant to be a semicolon at the end of there, not a colon. There we go. That's my fault. So at this point, I'm going to make transfer text equal to view text. So view text dot text semicolon. Again, all of this is not strictly relevant. It's more for us to visually see things, at least at the moment. At that point, we say view text is equal to nothing, which helps quite a lot, because then we need to say, right, well, let's start that coroutine. So view text dot text is equal to nothing. So at this point, we've transferred everything we need. We've received all the information we need. We then start the coroutine. So start coroutine, and in brackets, roll text. Oh, close bracket, semicolon, and save. Now, I know there's a lot to take in because it is, for beginners to coding, it probably looks very daunting. However, if you take it slowly and read line by line, you'll understand it no problem. And for those who are struggling with this script, it is in the pinned comment. Head over there. You can download it for free, this exact script that we've just written. So let's head back into Unity. And we now need to attach this specific script to a specific game object. So if we go to our canvas, go to our text box, and here where we've got speak text, we need to attach this text creator to speak text. And if we scroll down, we can see here, there's our two internal visual variables. If we do press play, not a lot is going to happen, but effectively we will see at least something happen, I think. Because at this point, this is the text that we need to understand. See, there we are. So there is our internal count, 62. So there are 62 there. That's exactly what we need. So the next piece of code that we need to write is within our scene 1 and the scene 1 event. So we have our text creator in place, but the text creator doesn't know exactly what is happening at this point. It has to understand where the text is coming from. So in order to do that, we need to modify this script a little further as well. So below here where we have the sound effects in place, I'm going to go down just a couple of lines, and I'm going to declare some variables. So the variables that we're going to use is the text to speak, its current length, the text length itself, and the main text object. So how do we do this exactly? Well, much as we've done before, we'll serialize field because all of these variables are going to be internal. They don't need to be accessed by any other script. String, and it'll be text to speak. So this will be the text our character is saying. So remember on the screen when it popped up then saying, oh, where's Haruka or whatever it said, that is going to be the text that we speak. And that's going to be inside the script rather than inside the text box. The next one is going to be an integer, and that's the current text length. So serialize field once again, and that's an integer. And we'll say current text length, semicolon. Next one, serialize field once again. And this one is also going to be an integer, and we'll have this as the text length. So remember, the current text length is going to take the running length, so it'll be updating constantly. The final one is serialize field, and it's going to be a game object, and we'll just call this one main text object, semicolon. So next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that the text length is entirely correct. So we need to pass this over to text creator that we've just written, and that basically needs to pass back a value. So we can say in the update method, so void update, open close bracket, doesn't need to be private, so we can remove that. We need to say text length equals text creator dot char count. And hopefully you can already see the interaction between these two scripts. These two scripts collaborate with each other to make sure that the correct text is being displayed at the correct time and with the correct letter. So this is where it's talking to text creator. Next thing we need to do is we need to scroll down. And remember this line here, we put, this is where our text function will go in future tutorial. Well, this is exactly where it all goes. So how do we do this exactly? Well, for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say text to speak is equal to, and I'm going to go back to Unity. I'm going to go to speak text. I'm going to copy that right there. And let's go back to our script and place it between the quotes and then semicolon. So what we're doing is rather than have to change it in our text right there, we're just putting it via code. So we can now delete that text on the speak text game object. Head back to our code. And in fact, what I will do just to make sure we are all okay is say main text object dot set active and in brackets true, just in case that might become a little bit apparent as we go further on. Next thing we need to do is I'm going to go down just a couple of lines to give us some space. So after we've defined what we are saying, we're going to say text box dot get component and in spiky brackets tm pro dot tmp underscore text close spiky bracket open spiky open close bracket dot text is equal to text to speak. And this is where we transfer it over to the game object. And then we can say current text length is equal to text to speak dot length semicolon. Next line down, once we've defined that, we say text creator dot run text print equals true. So once again, at this point, we've set all our variables that we need to set in this script, and we've said, yep, this is what it's supposed to say. We've activated everything. Go ahead and run that process in Text Creator. At that point, we do need to wait for a couple of things at different places just for all this to end. So because we're going to modify this a little further, later on down the line, I'm going to put several yield functions here, just so as we can kind of understand what is going on, because we may modify this a little further. The first one is just going to be a real short one because I've got all these ideas in my head. Yield, return new, wait for seconds, and in brackets, I'll probably just put 0.05f just for now. This one is kind of not irrelevant, but it'll help a little later on down the line. Next thing is yield return new wait for seconds, and this I'll just put a standard 1 second there. So this next line is going to be the defining moment in this being displayed on screen. And it all references that value that we used earlier in Text Creator. So this one here, how quickly do we do this? So we now say yield, return, new, wait until, and in brackets, so open close bracket, and then we need to say it's equal to or greater than text length double equals current text. And it's already predicting what we're doing. So current text length, semicolon. And after that is run, after we've waited until all of that is done, we say yield, return, new, wait for seconds, 0.5, semicolon. In fact, we need the F there because it is a float, semicolon, and save. So effectively, what we've done here is we have defined what all our things mean within this particular script. We've passed the information over to Text Creator and then told Text Creator, run this until the end, which is this bit right here. So when we finished, when text length is equal to current text length, it means that the text has been run and everything is then turned off. So we probably will modify this a little bit later as well down the line, just to really refine it and perfect it. But for now, all we really want is the ability to be able to have this code running and working as intended. So remember, this text creator right here is all good to go. The scene control variable over here. So remember, we've got this new variable now, main text object. That is this text box here. So drag and drop that onto there. And now let's press play and see if this actually all works. It should do. It should do. So we should see the standard bit start up, fade in, slide on screen, text box appear, and it should scroll across the screen. It doesn't. Okay, so where have we gone wrong? Let's have a quick look. So it's saying right here. So text box dot get component. Oh, right. Okay. So all that means is we've put the wrong game object on the variable. I just realized. So this way we've got text box isn't the main text box. It's the speak text because that main text object is what is being displayed. So that's all I've done there. Just put the wrong variable on the wrong thing. So make sure you put speak text on the main text object because that is where our text actually is being displayed. So this will work now. 100% guaranteed. So it should fade in, soon it comes on, and text should scroll. And it doesn't. Well, my 100%, well, it meant nothing, didn't it? So where's it gone wrong then? Okay, so it's still saying that the text box stop get component. Okay, so let's figure out where we have gone wrong here. So text box is okay. Yep. I've just realized one thing that we should have done. So we have done it right, but we've done it wrong, if that makes sense. So it should be we've got text box right here. What it's trying to do is access information in there when really it shouldn't. So we've got to modify this code a little bit more. So where we've got text box here, let's make that speak text. And let's reference our main text object. So where do we reference that here? So main text object now needs to be text box, right? So let's quickly recap. We're going to have to change around a couple of variables here, but it all should work as intended. So main text object should now be text box. Text box should now be speak text. So what we've done there is switch our variables around so as we can then control the entire text object differently than we did before, so as we can get the text to appear at the correct time. So now I am 100% sure this will work. Excellent. So, one thing I did notice there, let's have the girl side up play a little earlier because it played after the text appeared, and I think it should really display as the text is appearing. So where we've got text creator run print, let's change that and have girl side up play right there. And if we save that, head back into Unity once it's finished compiling, the sighing of the girl should sound at the right time. And let's try this for the last time, and we shouldn't have a problem at all. Apart from it taking a while to load. Let's see. Excellent. So, I'm quite happy with how that's working. There's probably little things that we will modify a little bit further on with it, just to kind of make sure that everything works. It doesn't look a bit weird. There's going to be little bugs here, there, and everywhere, but we've got the fundamentals of the scrolling text working, and that's the aim to get all this done. So next tutorial, what we'll do is add in a button so we can press next, and that will scroll the next line of code, or that'll be the next piece of the event that happens with Haruka coming onto screen and doing whatever. So remember to subscribe and click that notification bell to stay up to date with every tutorial still to come in this series, and I will see you next time.